me to practice and move my body. And thank you. I love these glasses too. Chance for me to practice and move my body, and I saw it as that. And so, even though I was the only person of color in the studio, I was fine with that. You know, I kept showing up for myself. I kept coming to my mat. I kept doing the movements and doing the breath. And I noticed that when I did have a teacher of color, when I did have someone who I could relate to, and I felt that part of their story is something that I experienced in my life. Hey, Yogi Man. And that shifted something for me that I hadn't expected. I did not expect that I would love yoga. I did not come into it with a high view of yoga. I was curious about yoga, and my mom and sister actually started practicing at this studio because my mom was competing in the Dragon Boat Olympics or something similar to that. Like, it was multiple countries competing against each other. And in order to prepare for the races, they would practice yoga to help keep the muscles and everything limber and to increase performance, which yoga does help with. So when I got into it, it was based off of their referral. They told me about this place. My mom and my sister gifted me a free week of yoga. And so I grown up in a Christian place. I grown up in a Christian family that told me that if it's not Christianity, then it's evil. And so I didn't subscribe to that. I didn't believe that yoga is something that, I was going to go to hell or whatever. I didn't believe any of that. I just didn't have I wasn't a super fan. I didn't know much about yoga, and I was willing to try something new. So when I walked into the studio, the people, they were nice enough. I mean, like I said, they were friendly-ish. I just didn't feel connected to them. So when I walked into the studio, I laid on my mat, and I'll tell you, even before that, when I first walked through the door, the threshold of the door, I felt something in my body that I had never felt. And I felt something in my body that I hadn't felt for years. And I was so disconnected. Hey, Bree, I was so disconnected to myself that in the past, I only felt pain or numb. And with lupus, with any autoimmune, you can really have these moments and these periods of time where everything feels amplified throughout your being. And so I was dealing with a lot of pain and inflammation at that time in my life, to where it was either pain or numb. If I was in pain, I was taking that 800 milligrams of ibuprofen that they were recommending and they prescribed me, or I was taking the steroids to lower the inflammation so it wouldn't affect my organs. Whatever it was, I was on those pills. And I walked into that room, and immediately my whole body felt warm, and I felt pleasure. It was like a big hug for every single spot in my whole body. And the sound in my head was like, ah. I'm telling you, I was so moved by this yoga class that during the yoga class itself and at the end in Shavasana, which I had never experienced before, it was just like, what? I can lay here. I can take some deep breaths. Like, this is actually what I'm being told. I'm being told to do these things, and it feels right. Yeah, it was like a spiritual awakening. I had this revelation here in my first ever yoga class, and it moved me to be curious. And whenever I'm curious is when I feel like something speaks to me in a tangible way. And so I felt good in my body for the first time in a long time. And instead of looking outward for, pain relief or for, whatever I was looking outward for, so many things at that time in my life, instead of doing that, I was able to go inward. I was able to go inward. Thank you. Thank you. I love my sister back here. I was able to go inward, and that's where so much transformation happened. The transformation of me thinking that, I need to be a people pleaser, or I need to do all these things, or whatever it was at that moment, I was able to consider, like, wow, I have believed that I had lupus. I have believed that I was going to be on pills for the rest of my life. I believed that every morning and I woke up, my feet were going to be so swollen that it would hurt to walk. I believed all these things. I had been told that I was going to be on pills for the rest of my life. I believed all these things about me, and that created my reality. And so, for the first time in that first yoga class, I felt something different. I experienced something that had me question my entire being. I realized that, wow, I am strong. I am capable. And when I connect, it feels good. And that's what started it for me. Like I said, I'm a nerd. I love and I appreciate that about myself. And so that took me on my journey. For other people, it's different. And for other people, they come into yoga from different places. Some people come in through trap yoga. Some people come in through silent yoga, hot yoga, yoga nidra. Some people come in through meditation. Some people come in through twerking, booty yoga. And it's not me to tell someone that their experience and their connection is not valid, because it's not what I experience and what I connect to. And that's something that's been very helpful for me. I appreciate, I honor, I love the ability to have this experience for myself. Exactly, Lisa, to surrender to this experience, to experience this connection to self without the need to make it something that it's not, without the need to make it a religion, without the need to make it a something evil, without the need to whatever it is that you want it to be, it can be. When I first started, I looked to it for pain relief, and that's what it was for me. And then I realized that I got other things along the way. And when I see people of color practicing, especially, I know that I'm not alone. I did so much research when I got diagnosed, and I found that not only are there inequalities in the yoga industry, which I wasn't aware of yet, I started to see that there were inequalities in health. There is an overwhelming percentage gap between the amount of people of color who are in dis-ease, in crisis, and struggling with autoimmune disorders and diabetes and all of these reversible, preventable dis-eases. And the gap there, like, there's a reason for the gap. Like, we're not going to talk about that. You can explore that on your own. The reason why there's a gap there. There's so many things. There's so many contributions to that I knew that just by me being in the space, me becoming a yoga teacher, becoming a leader, just by me doing it for myself, people started to ask me the questions. Oh, you what? Like, they see me, especially my family, they see me in this healthy state, and they see who I used to be and how my life used to be and the struggle that I used to experience every day. And they like, what are you doing? It is something you're doing that's different. And then I get to share. And it's something that they solicited. They asked me to give them my secret. What are you doing? And then I share. Most everybody in my family knows I do yoga by now. But at that moment where those transitions and those shifts were happening, that's when I was getting the questions. That's when I was getting the asks. It was like ask with the S. I was getting the asks. And I realized that I'm telling you guys, I was prescribed 8 pills a day at one point. If I can change my own life, my need to be a people pleaser, to stress about little things, I don't need to, worry about what other people were doing, all the things that I let be an influence on my mood and my desire. If I can do that just by connecting to myself, if I can find importance in myself, imagine what's possible when more people do that. And that's why equality in yoga is so important to me. We need faces of every shade. We need faces of every color. We need people to show up and to raise their hand and say that I belong here. And so that means that you belong here too. I belong here, so that means that y'all belong here too. We're all able to do this thing. Even if you got quote unquote bad knees, or if you have, whatever the doctors told you or whatever. And this is not to say that you're going to just stop taking meds that you're prescribed. I do not recommend that. I'm not a medical professional. I can only speak from my experience of self healing. And what I did was I worked with my medical professionals to wean myself off of those things and to create a reality where I do not have pain and I do not take meds on a daily basis. And that's my personal journey. That's my personal testimony. Everyone's journey is different, everyone's challenge is different. So imagine your story being heard by someone, how you were able to experience shift and change and healing and connection and self love and all of the things that yoga has given you the chance to experience. Imagine if that was possible for people in your family, for your loved ones in your community. And all they're waiting for is for you to experience it yourself, make the changes and implement the things. And then now they're ready. Now they want to know what you're doing. Now they're curious about that yoga stuff that they heard about. Now they have a different perspective than what someone told them one day back in the day. Somebody told them yoga was evil, and so they just thought yoga was evil. But then they see you practicing it, they're like, see, but I know she has discernment. I know she's responsible. So maybe this yoga thing ain't what I thought it was. And then that's your ability to share. Thank you, Lisa. That's your ability to share. So I really see that the only way to achieve yoga equality, and let me take that back, because there's so many different perspectives that I can't speak from. I can speak from my experience. My perspective on creating yoga equality is that the more we share yoga, our own personal experience with ourselves, the more that we share yoga with ourselves, hey V, the more that we show up in spaces and create spaces and lead, the more we'll be able to see people who look like us, people who don't look like us, people of different colors, people of different backgrounds, people of different shades. That's when we'll see the yoga industry shift. So the way to create equality is not to go to all of these, whitewash studios and spaces and say, "Hey, please give me a seat at the table." That's not the thing that I recommend necessarily. Now, I have taught in spaces. I have led in spaces where there are a lot of people who didn't look like me, and that's totally fine. What I'm saying is that to make a major shift in the world is that more people, more brown, more blue, more orange, more yellow people, all the colors, more people become teachers. And when you become a teacher, you study the criteria, the subject area, and there are different curriculums based on whatever training program you choose, whatever training program you align with. You study it, you implement it, And then you decide what is most aligned with you. And when you teach from that space of what's most aligned with you, instead of imitating me or imitating the Instagram famous people that you see with all the poses, if you instead find what is most aligned with you and you do that over and over and over, that's where you create your niche. When you do something specific to you in a way that resonates with you, and you do it and you study it and you dive into it, and then you create something that only you bring your special sauce to. And that's how we can create equality in yoga. The more teachers, the more naturally inclined leaders that step up and create the spaces, create the studios, create the classes, create the workshops, create the retreats. That is how we change the playing field. We're not we're not going to change something that is already set in stone. If we, however, if we allow our creative side to indulge, to explore, to be nurtured, that is where we're able to take this idea that calls you, like that thing that wakes you up. Like when you watch the news and you see all the black on black violence, or you see all the shootings, and you see all the chaos and the war and the fighting, or you see that in your family, and you realize that these people ain't doing yoga. That's the takeaway. That's the takeaway. They're not doing yoga. And when, man, there's so many studies. I can't wait to tell y'all more information about this. I am currently doing research, and I'm so excited to tell y'all what I discovered. I have been discovering studies. The government in different countries, they study people energy. They have yoga teachers, yoga practitioners practice yoga, and they practice yoga during different stages of certain wars. So certain wars, they would have these yoga teachers, they would go in, they would get them all together in a circle, or physically or energetically, physically and energetically, actually. And so they would get them all together and they would meditate. At the same time, they would take into account what's actually happening in the world, what the trends are, all of the control variables. And what they did was that they discovered that at the times where the meditation was happening, during those periods of time, those time frames, the violence, the bloodshed, because they were studying this during specific wars. So they had these scientists studying, and during those times, the violence and the bloodshed was significantly less than when they were not meditating. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Just by having, and what I've been studying is that it only requires 10%. 10% of the population. Like, can you guys, are you getting this? Are you getting this? This is the magic. 10% of the population is all that it requires to have a drastic impact on totality of violence, aggressions and all of these things. Like, if like I'm telling y'all, this blew my mind when I was reading these articles. So here's the frame, and this is how I've been able to process it, because I'm like, wait, what? When you think about a dark room, there's a dark room. It may or may not have any light sources, windows, whatever, there's a certain energy in that space. And there may be a little small candle, but overall, this is a dark room. It's very dark. If I take 10% of that space, I mean, even in this room, well, I have a window, but if this window was closed and it was only a light, and I take that small light and I'm able to shine it, it shines in the room. It brightens the room. And I don't have to have lights all over the room to do that. That's how light works. That's how energy works. Light can shine in darkness. And what I'm telling you, and what I'm asking you, and what I'm communicating right now is that our world needs the light. The only way that we can bring equality, that we can bring love, that we can love ourselves and then emanate that love so much that we care about people who we don't know. Like, can you imagine that? We love ourselves so much that we meditate. We take time out of our day to just be, just breathe. Can you imagine that? And that when people intentionally come together, they intentionally meditate for the betterment of their community. Can you imagine that? That's when the impossible is simply that. I'm possible. Yeah, Lisa, and darkness cannot stand the light. I mean, there's a balance that shifts when you have something that's mainly dark and you introduce light into it. Everything shifts. The sun literally, like, y'all, the sun, we are so connected to the sun. Imagine on days where you are in, like, it's rainy, it's dreary, it's cloudy, you don't get to see the sun, your energy is affected. That's literally like those days when you skip yoga, and the days and the weeks when you skip yoga, and all of those things. But let you catch a yoga class, a meditation with a teacher you just really, really connect with. That can change your whole outlook on life. That can change your whole experience in your own skin. That's where the equality comes. So if we think about equality as a balance, we're not saying everybody needs to do yoga. We're not saying everybody needs to let the light in. Everything is valid and everything will happen in nature because that's nature. That's the yin and yang of what our experience is in this plane. What I'm saying is that we need more people to practice yoga because it only takes 10%. It only takes 10%. If you see something on the news and you saddened by it, I do not watch the news because I will feel so connected. I'm a feeling person, sensation, empathic, like all of that is my realm. And so I'll cry. I feel strongly when there's something that goes on, when there's in the news, and all of these things. I feel that. And so for me, my way to balance out energy is by practicing yoga. That's what keeps me feeling like I'm contributing to self-love when I practice yoga. And so even if they have this story on the news where some, husband killed his wife and himself, like, wow. Think about what type of relationship that was to end like that. I can contribute to a powerful relationship by practicing yoga. And I practice yoga every day in physical and non-physical ways. I can contribute to the balance, the equality. I can contribute to making my marriage and my relationships with my family, my loved ones, I can contribute to the balance. Now, that doesn't mean that I'll always be zen. I'm not always zen and, like I definitely, if y'all look back, I had a conversation with someone recently who was very rude, and they they've been angry for many, many years and they don't even realize. And I could feel that in my body. And so I'm not trying to change the world and of like the nature of the world. What I'm doing is the mission of world peace through inner peace is about the people who yearn for a change. The people who don't want yoga, people who don't think it's for them, that's fine. Do, live, be whoever you're going to be. The people who are tired of taking the pills that they feel are detrimental to their body and they want to figure out what's going on. They're so disconnected from themselves that the only thing they can feel connected to is pain. That was what changed for me. It wasn't that something was wrong with me. It was that I was not connected to myself. So I ignored all the signs that my body gave me long before I was ever diagnosed or prescribed something. That was what was the difference for me. And it looks different for everyone. And yoga equality is it's the practice. It's the practice, it's the balance. And that's really how we can connect to this. So I encourage you, if you want to see more brown spaces, brown faces, you want to see more brown faces in the yoga community, let that be you. If you want to see more, different shades in the yoga space, let that be you. Get together. We partner with other yoga teachers, partner with other professionals in the wellness industry. I've connected with, beauty, clothing, all of these things. It doesn't have to be yoga, like a physical asana. It could be a meditation and whatever, a tea company. Partner to help you get further. That's where the equality comes. When we work together, when we do things that encourage us to grow at a faster rate. 1 + 1 = 11. And on that note, I believe in you. I believe that the dream and the mission and the purpose that you've been given is something that you will take action on. I believe that very much. And I look forward to discussing it and being proud of you whenever you get there into the type of vision that you feel called to be in. And if you don't already have a Black Yogis Matter, get your sweatshirts. What these sweatshirts do is they create conversations. So many people ask me about my sweatshirt, like Black yoga, what? And then there's a whole conversation. That might be a new client. That might be, someone I can refer to another yoga teacher. That might be someone who doesn't even talk to me, but searches the hashtag Black Yogis Matter. And then, wow, now they get to see all of the yogis. They get to see that yoga is not just physical. So these sweatshirts were made because, can't always wear a sports bra. So I was like, I guess I need some real clothes. When I'm not naked or in yoga clothes, catch me in this Black Yogis Matter. And I wanted something that was comfortable, soft, something that I can throw on top of some yoga stuff and go, and something that starts conversations. I mean, my hair starts conversations, but not everybody can rock an afro. Not everybody wants to. So rock something that's going to start a conversation. And on that note, I invite you to go to the link in my bio, go to Linktree/Black Yogis Matter. Go to Afro Yoga. If you're not following me, follow me. Then click the link in my bio and go to get you a sweatshirt. We are pre-selling them, and you get a sticker when you get one. Like, we have them on sale for 2 more days, for today and tomorrow. So get your sweatshirt and get your sticker. It's an awesome shiny sticker. And then take a picture, tag me. I'm happy. I want to repost. I'm going to keep them on my stories, so you'll be on my highlights forever and ever. So if you want to be a part of what we're up to, like, come on. We got to share this mission. We got to let more brown people know what yoga is. That's what brings the equality. We're not looking to steal yoga students from other people. We're creating yoga students. And the people who don't practice yoga right now, when they see you rocking around with this, they're going to ask you the questions. And that's how you get your clients. Like, this is about spreading the message. So if you're up to that, if you want to spread the message, go to my Instagram link, get your sweatshirt, and get a couple. I have all the colors. I got yellow, I got green, I have orange. Here's my orange one. I got 2 different shades of blue. I mean, I like bright colors, but there's also black. So you could do whatever you want, whatever works for your style. I wish you a great rest of your day. Oh, you got the same pattern? Yay! I wish you a great rest of your day. And I know that just by being here, just by tuning in, like, you're here for a reason. And whatever that reason is up to you to determine. And that when you take the steps that you feel called to take, that's where the satisfaction with life happens. And that's the shift that I had to make from my old lifestyle and way of thinking into where I am now. So I hope that for you, you do the same. Peace, y'all.